Hey everybody, guess what? Music online. Oh my gosh, this is so different. Hey, listen, I know you guys don't have your recorders and we don't have those instruments like we do in the classroom, but that's okay. We're going to do some other stuff and it's going to be fun and goofy and silly. And I want you to do all of it, okay? And if you feel silly, go get a family member and make them feel silly doing it with you. And then I might have some assignments here and there. You can just kind of make sure you're looking down the page to check it out and see if there's anything that you're supposed to do. And I might even have you share that assignment with me. So make sure you're looking through everything and taking care of what you're supposed to. Because remember, we do have grades at the end of the year. So I just shook the computer. So I better stop and wrap this up so that we can get to our lessons. So without further ado, here we go. We are going to do a tongue twister. A tongue twister is really important to help you really make sure you're saying all of those letters very clearly. We call that enunciate. So we want to make sure that all of our letters are very clear. Here is the tongue twister. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. So in that part at the very end where there's no sound, there's a rest, you're going to clap like this. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Okay, let's do that with me. We're going to do it 3 times. Here we go. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Great. Now let's speed it up. Here we go. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. How'd you do? All right, now I'm going to add an ostinato. All right, so an ostinato is something that repeats over and over and over and over again that goes with the song or the chant. So you are going to do the ostinato too. We're going to start like this. We're going to pat our knees, then clap, then snap, then clap. Pat, clap, snap, clap. Okay? So let's start our ostinato, and then we're going to say our tongue twister 2 times. Here we go. Pat, clap, snap, clap. Pat, clap, snap, clap. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Again. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Now, if you can't snap, that's okay. Nobody's going to know. Just pretend. Okay, now we're going to speed it up and see how you do. Here we go. We're going to do the ostinato first, and then we're going to say the tongue twister twice. Here we go. Pat, clap, snap. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. How'd you do? Good. Let's go faster. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Let's go faster. Ready, go. Chester Cheetah goes to cheddar cheese. Chester Cheetah chews a chunk of cheap cheddar cheese. Oh, good job. Okay, everybody. Now we're going to learn about cannons, not the kind that you shoot, in Mr. Parker's lesson. Here we go.
For our canon today, I'm going to record myself saying it once, and then I'm going to use some computer trickery with the program GarageBand to make myself speak in canon with myself. This is Mina Dina. I'll put the words up on the screen so you can see it. It goes like this. Eena, Deena, Dinah, Dus. Catalina, Wina, Wuss. Spit, Spot, must be done. Twiddle-em, twaddle-em, 21. And now, I'll put it down on the track number 2 underneath this. Sounds like this. Meena, Deena, Dinah, Dus. Catalina, Dinah, Wuss. Catalina, must be done. Twiddle-em, twaddle-em, must be done. Twiddle-em, twaddle-em, 21. Now I'll do that again, and I'll add a third voice. But I'd like you at home to say it with the first voice. So you'll start first, and you'll finish first. Start with the first Mr. Parker you hear. Meena, Deena, Dinah, Dus. Catalina, Dinah, Wuss. Catalina, Dinah, Wuss. Catalina, must be done. Twiddle-em, twaddle-em, must be done. Twiddle-em, twaddle-em, 21.
Okay, so I wanted to show you what Mr. Parker on the video did with Meena Deena, which is a canon, and then kind of help you get started on your assignment. So first of all, a canon is any song or rhythm you might do, or a poem or a chant, where you can start it at different times and say the whole thing or sing the whole song, starting it at different times. So there would be a leader who would start it, and then a little bit later, someone else would start it, and then a little bit later, someone else would start it, and that's called a canon. So if you've ever done row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, usually there's somebody that starts row, row, row your boat, you know, right after you start row, row, row your boat, and you sing it all together, and there's always somebody who's left singing by themselves at the end, and it's really fun to do. So we're going to try to do that today. So on the video, you saw Meena Deena. So I have written out Meena Deena here. Meena Deena, Dinah, Dus. Catalina, Weena, Wina, Wuss. Spit, Spat, must be done. Twiddle-em, twaddle-em, 21. Okay, so that's my leader part. Now this is a rhythm, so I have a graph or a something that you can look at that's on the website that says leader melody. That's if it's got a melody or it's a song, but this is just a rhythm because it's just a poem. So this is our leader rhythm. So now we have to figure out when follower 1 comes in and when follower 2 comes in. And the way to do that, the way a canon works, is that you have to know where the phrases are in the piece that you're using. So let's figure this out with Meena Deena. Now, this is the way you're going to be doing your assignment. But right now, since you're not doing Meena Deena for your assignment, this is helping you learn it. I want you just to pay attention to what I'm doing. See if you can hear the phrases just like I can. Okay, so let's listen to this. Meena Deena, Dinah, Dus. Catalina, Weena, Wina, Wuss. Spit, Spat, must be done. Twiddle-em, twaddle-em, 21. So in there, you could tell there were kind of like breaks, like when you have sentences in your reading. So here we've got a break, Meena, Deena, Dinah, Dus, right here. So this is our first phrase. So I'm going to put a little star right there to let us know that that's a phrase, phrase 1. Then this is the beginning of our second phrase. So we'll go ahead and put a star showing that that's the beginning of the second phrase. Catalina, Weena, Wina, Wuss. Okay, so that's our second phrase. It just had a natural stop right there. All right, so here's the beginning of our third phrase. Spit, spat, must be done. That is a really good phrase. And if you look here, that's the beginning of our fourth phrase, twiddle-em, twaddle-em, 21.
Now, some of you know what measures are, and you could see a measure is marked by these bar lines, and you can tell that these phrases are 1, 2 measures long. So let's make sure that's the same for everyone. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so they all match in the number of uh, measures. Sorry guys, I got sidetracked. They all match in measures. Now what I want you to do is I want you to extend the bar line that's at the beginning of that phrase. So you might have to ask your parents to help, but right now you're just watching. So you see that this is the beginning of the second phrase and there's a little line right there. I want you just to extend that down because we're gonna kind of section these off. All right, so let's look for the next sectioning. Okay, here's your star. Let's section that off. So far we've got Mina, Dina, Dinah, Dus is our first phrase, and we have another section. Cattle, a ween, a wine, a wuss. Spit, spat, must be done. Straw line. Twiddle 'em, twaddle 'em, 21. Okay. So now you have to know when follower 1 is going to come in. Well, follower 1 is just going to come in on the very next phrase after the leader comes in. So the leader starts, and then this is where follower 1 comes in. And follower 1 is going to start on the very first words that the leader started on. Okay? So now in your assignment, you would write all of this out. Okay, we're on the next crossing the line. Mina, Dina, Dinah, Dus, cattle, la, weena, wina, wuss. Spit, spat, must be done. Okay, now because we don't have a line here, we're going to have to put a line because that's where our phrase ends and we start a new one. Twiddle, excuse me, twaddle, 21. Okay, so now you can see that everything is off by a section. We did the whole poem, the whole chant, but now it's off by a section, right? Okay, now follower 2 is going to come in the phrase after follower 1. So here's where follower 1 came in. This is where follower 2 will come in, starting on Mina. Mina, Dina. We've got to draw a line here. Finish it off. Twiddle on, twaddle on, 21. Okay, I'm going super fast and my writing is not very neat, but I'm trying to get it done quickly. So do you see how everything is offset now? Everything is off by one section. So would you do your assignment? Let me just bring that over here. By the way, I took a couple of pieces of paper and I just cut them in half this way. And then I attached them. So you'll probably need like 3 pieces of paper and just attach them side by side. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to write the words for the poem that is your assignment. And here is the poem. I had a little turtle. His name was Tiny Tim. I put him in the bathtub to see if he could swim. Now there is an ending to that. It goes like this. He drank up all the water. He ate up all the soap. And now he's sick in bed with bubbles in his throat. But that was getting really long, so I didn't want you guys to have to write that much. So we're just sticking with the first half of the poem. All right, so here is our leader. This is our leader, the first guy right here. So we're going to put a star at the beginning of that phrase. So now we have to figure out where the phrases are. And here we go. I had a little turtle. His name was Tiny Tim. I put him in the bathtub to see if he could swim. Let me say it again. Let's see if you can, on your own, guess where those lines are going to go, where those stars and lines are going to go. Listen again. I had a little turtle. His name was Tiny Tim. I put him in the bathtub to see if he could swim. Okay, so here's where the first phrase is. I had a little turtle. That's the first phrase. This starts the second phrase. So we're going to draw a line right there because this word his starts the next phrase, doesn't it? His name was Tiny Tim. Well, that's the end of that phrase. So let's draw a line, put a star at the beginning of that phrase. I put him in the bathtub. Okay, so that's the end of that phrase. Put a star to see if he could swim. That's the end of that one. Okay, so now you have to figure out where follower 1 is going to start, and then you're going to write the words, and you have to figure out where follower 2 is going to start and write the words. So your assignment is to write the words to the poem, then to use my help here to tell you where the phrases start, put a big line so that will help you see. And then you're going to figure out where follower 1 starts and start writing the words. I had a little turtle. His name was Tiny Tim, and so on. Then you're going to figure out where follower 2 starts, and you're going to start writing the poem again. I had a little turtle, and so on. And then, if you're really brave, you can grab a family member or 2, and you guys can practice trying to say this. Now, for your assignment, I would like you to take a picture of what you wrote and submit it to me, and I'll have a spot for that down in the share section. But if you want to do a little extra, just for fun, I would love to get a video of you and your family trying to do this, but just make it real short. Let's not do it a long time because I've got a lot of students to look at, but I'd love to see that.
Okay, guys, that's it for the recorded lesson. Now I want you to do the assignment below, okay? Have a great week.